Well, what do we have here? It is the Champagne Rugby Podcast back for our second week. I don't know what is the fifth week of Super Rugby, but we exist. We're back live. My name is Tony Lyall, joined by Sam Smith for the first time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Well, you'll be here the whole time, really, Sam, unless you're doing something better.
No, I've got literally nothing better to do than talk rugby with you, Tony, which I'm so excited about.
Yes, a massively boring life you do live.
That's true, very true.
Our special guest today, the one and only James McOnie. James, how are you going?
I'm good, thanks. Great to be here in week 2.
Yes, week 2.
If it was week 4 or 5, I'd be like, come on now. Well, I mean, I'll be hovering around outside the door going, I love rugby, and I hear this is a rugby podcast.
Yeah,
anyone needs... Oh, no, it's cool. I'm fine. I'm fine.
He was sort of looking in the window of the studio, sort of forlorn, big puppy dog eyes, like sort of waving a rugby ball, saying, I know, I love rugby.
I mean, week 1 would have been nice. It would have. I'll say it, but week 2's fine. I'll take silver.
I'm here every week, and I wasn't even on week 1.
It's true. Sam Smith missed week 1, and he's supposed to be here every time. So
to be honest, the whole podcast didn't start on week 1 of the season. So
let's not get bogged down in the details here, guys. I think what's important is we're here now and we're underway. And before we get into our typical Super Rugby wrap of the round, there's bloop, bloop, bloop. It's breaking news. I guess it's probably not breaking by this stage. It's fairly well covered by the mainstream media. I think it led every single 6 p.m. news story last night. But, of course, Scott Robertson.
My boy.
The coach of the All Blacks post the World Cup. And Sam, important to point out, you are a huge Crusaders fan.
I'm a massive Crusaders fan. I am over the moon that Razor is going to be All Blacks coach because I'm also a big All Blacks fan, but I'm also a bit sad that it means it's going to be the end of his run at the Crusaders at the end of this season, which means that this is a big season for us.
Do you think he gives a shit now? Do you think he's like, listen, I've got a better job?
Will be checking out instantly. This season is going to run into the ground. It's going to be like when Richie and Dan, when they finished their final season 2015, they just stopped giving a shit. And they they didn't make the playoffs for the first time since 2001.
Is that true? Their last season?
In 2015, yeah. And so they are going to, oh man, is it going to be that again?
Well, it did open the door 2015 for a massively popular year for everyone. The Highlanders, of course, swatting into the finals. McOnie, your take on that?
There will be a problem, I guess, when Razor turns up at the Blues versus Chiefs game when he should be coaching. It's like, isn't that Razor? How is he going to get back to what he's supposed to be doing? No, I love Razor, and the thing is, I've known him for a long time. I think I knew him when he invented his nickname, Razor.
Yeah, he invented it.
He gave himself a nickname, which is always quite questionable. But
Controversial.
Yeah. But hey, he's owned it. The one thing I find with Razor is one of the best things about him, apart from his breakdancing, which I love that we've got a breakdancing All Blacks coach, finally. Hansen wasn't really in a position. He sort of grew out of breakdancing quite early in the piece, and he was never going to go there. Fozzie physically, I think, is past the breakdancing days. They're over, but he is from Tokoroa, so I believe he would have been a breakdancer.
Yep. Yeah, totally.
But anyway, with Razor, it's like he's such an amazing talent spotter. Every time I look at the Crusaders, they've got 14 All Blacks, which helps a lot. But sometimes he'll just go and find Fetu Kamu Douglas and just say, let's just chuck you in here. And he just finds all these pieces to the puzzle. He's amazing at that. So I wonder if it will get some proper bolters under Razor. So it could be exciting with him in charge.
Yeah, I think you're right there with the proper bolters thing because he is such a passion character. I mean, he played in a passionate manner. His coaching, known for leading these sort of crazy, almost like thought crusades to get the team over the line, to try to inspire them. I had a friend who played with him in the Sumner days, and he said he had this like ideology that they were the guys from over on the beach, and every day they were going to charge over the hill and just pillage the opposition, and then they'll retreat back with the booty back to Sumner and party all night. So every time they'd bus over as a team, play, win, then drive back to Summer and have a massive party because they're like, this is the little storyline that we've got encouraged. And I can't imagine Fozzie is a big storyline guy. I think he's like, hey guys, go and play, and hopefully you win.
Yeah, this is the thing about Razor, right? And the reason why he didn't get for the last couple of times, because he's been turned down for the role twice, and it's because he is that compared to all these black and white, straight up and down Fozzies and Steve Hansons and Graham Henrys, who are very much the old school Southland farmer kind of vibe, who don't think emotion is a thing. And then he's come in and is totally reinventing it for the Crusaders, and then now the Blacks. Well, probably shouldn't call them the Blacks.
No, we usually call them the All Blacks.
The All Blacks. I am a huge fan.
Yeah, sure, probably. Yeah, but
I've never shortened it to that before. Don't know why today was the first day.
don't get yourself cancelled on the first podcast, Sam. We need you for the season, mate.
Thank you.
The thing about it is the stoic coach, the po-face coach versus the fun uncle, which is Razor. Even though people who don't like the breakdancing, I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
They're not listening to this. And they'll complain about, they'll say it's a part of his ego. Make no mistake, all the stoic coaches have massive egos. They're hugely egocentric, and they'll take knighthoods and whatever's coming their way, even though they were paid $1 million and you know what I mean, and have coached around the world. So ego is a huge part. It's just that Razor wears his heart on his sleeve. So that's all you've got to get used to the fact. Steve Hansen had an ego. Ted had an ego. They're all kind of in the same way. They've got that deep burning desire to be the man, and so Razor just says it.
And speaking of ego, it must hurt Fozzie's ego to have the big hoopla, the announcement yesterday. There was messages going out at sort of midday saying, we'll announce the coach at 4 p.m. And apparently he hadn't even been told who the coach was. At the press conference, Razor said he already signed the papers at about 3 p.m. So this late moves to put Razor in as the coach, Fozzie must be like, oh, guys, I'm still at work right now. What's going on?
Real interesting thing about this, and this is deep Crusaders history. The very first Crusaders game ever was against the Chiefs. Scott Robertson was in that team. Ian Foster was in that team. The Chiefs won by 1 point. Foster kicked 5 penalties and a conversion in that game. And now Razor's saying, cool, I'll take your job. Thanks.
So you're saying
this
is a really...
This is the end of a wonderful, very niche story.
Holy shit.
That is amazing.
History.
That's an amazing... I was waiting for a hot take. It's come out early.
It's right there.
This is a revenge story. But the one thing I like about that was, what's that movie that was at Linklater? Was he the guy that did the movie over about a 7-year period?
Yeah.
What's it called? Is it Childhood? No, something...
Boyhood.
Boyhood? Oh.
The one with Ethan Hawke and all that.
Yeah, just... this is a slow burn.
This is that.
It's almost a soap opera thing where he sort of tears off the mask and goes, I'm actually your twin or whatever. But if it's this long that he's been waiting to drive
from
the
that
knife.
Game. To be honest, I haven't checked that Scott Robertson played in that first game.
No,
he wasn't the
why did
team.
you say that? It was the greatest stat of all time.
Tony, could I get you to do your alarm noise again? Yeah. So the other thing people need to be aware of is that out in the media, they go around quoting rugby heads, and so it's like JK, it's whoever you can get on the show, Nisbo, whatever. All the media, mainstream media, have been quoting them and asking their opinion, and most of them say it's a good choice, but it is poorly done. But the reason why they say it's a good choice is because Razor's going to be the All Blacks coach for the next foreseeable future. They're never going to say it's a bad choice. So, and I mean, I think it's a good choice, but the thing is, I'm just saying that people out there who try to get the real, this is what this person thinks. No, it's not. They are pretty much playing the game because next year they want to be able to interview Razor, talk to Razor, talk to All Blacks, and all that sort of thing. So it's like when someone comes out and says, fully support the coach or whatever. It's like, you want to go to the World Cup. Of course you fucking do.
It's the real joy of access media and the idea of saying if you say too much wrong, you simply cannot report on the facts. And I'm not saying that's what they're doing. I'm not saying that's what they're doing. If any,
what are you doing over there at TV?
That people from NZR are saying. I did worry yesterday. I commented on the post on the Instagram when they announced and just said nicely handled. And a lot of people did laugh emojis, little clap laughs, and I was like, no, I was being serious here, guys. But it made me look like I was really having a dig. And if
that was so good. Who's good from you.
Who's to say if I was being sarcastic or not? If I was being authentic? I mean, I don't even know at this stage.
Sam, would you mind if we did a deep dive into Tony Lyall's tweets? Not his teats. we could do that later.
Into my teats. Well, I can tell you off the top of my head the sort of vibe I went on when it announced. My first tweet, I attacked the break dancing. That was my first thought. And I think it got lost in the vibe, to be honest. I think probably everyone had that thought. If I was looking forward to seeing some breakdancing in Australia at the next World Cup. Or something
what you could have done with your one breaking the All Blacks finally have a blonde head coach. You could have just gone breaking the All Blacks head coach.
Yeah, right.
Because
he's breaking.
That's very good.
I will say I actually did see someone had done that exact tweet. But they had break and then in brackets dancing news.
Oh, right.
And so I couldn't be joke stealing. Even if I didn't think about it.
Imagine if Razor becomes this long-term 12-year coach, and we see a 64-year-old man busting both hips as he wins his 3rd World Cup in a row.
Yeah, I would love to see it, to be honest. I know, I do. I stand by that, the idea of a blonde All Blacks coach. You know, we've had a lot of stodgy old men after stodgy old men, and they've done a pretty respectable job. I'm not having to go at them or their personality or anything like this, but, you know, it's a fairly typical type of guy. They look basically interchangeable. And then now a younger version with big flowing long locks comes in, and it fills you with a little bit of hope for a different attitude.
Well, Steve Hansen will argue that he's a blonde, but he just sort of faded over the time. And with John Mitchell, we'll never know.
We'll never know.
It's a mystery. But you're right, we've got one now. I should say as well, even I am probably your biggest supporter on Twitter, Tony Lyall. I feel like I'm liking your tweets at a level that a family member would now.
Yeah. And
you probably look up and you
it doesn't go unnoticed.
Again.
I say, oh, here's a light coming in. I'm McOnie, fair enough. And it makes sense. The analogy that sprung to mind was just the idea of the timing, really, and if it had happened to you. And I sort of had to feel some sympathy for Fozzie. And what I had said was, imagine you had a big project at work, and a few months before the project took place, your boss told you they were firing you after the project was finished, and then held a big press conference with the guy replacing you, then said, hey, by the way, best of luck with that big project.
That was the one. I remember it was a good tweet, that one.
It's very.
Why did it pop up on my
Some
thing
people
there?
gave me a little bit of hate and was like, hey, listen, it's a competitive process. The other teams do the same thing. I just thought, guys, it's not the way.
It is weird to announce it so far before. And
Yeah.
You've got a full World Cup to do.
And if we lose, at least Fozzie's got the ultimate, like, well, what did you expect?
Yeah.
You treated me like dog shit.
Yeah.
What was I supposed to do here? I did the best I could. Now I'm going to go and enjoy living large on, I'm assuming, the amazing pension he gets from NZR.
I think Fozzie's going to win. I think the All Blacks will win. I think we're in a really good position. This is probably not the podcast to go into, piece why, but there's so many players peaking at the right time.
I agree.
This is extra motivation. He knows the players intimately now. He's managed to blood some guys, and some have paid off, but some haven't. But guys like Samasoni Tokiaho, I mean, he's an absolute world beater.
Wow.
So all the work he's done, the building blocks are there.
Yeah.
It's just and also big games between the big nations are decided by a few points or a red card or some frickin' turnover penalty. And then you just go, oh, fuck. Okay, that's it. So it's partly a lottery. And as well, as long as they don't test seriously for roids in some countries, you can get rumbled.
Well, there we go. Controversy.
There we go.
And I think that leads us perfectly into talking about the players that will be fighting for this World Cup and how they're doing so far in the Super Rugby.
Yeah.
And we move on to our game of the round that we focused on this week, the Crusaders versus the Blues at Eden Park. And it was Kids Round. And I think if Kids Round taught us one thing, it's that children make appalling broadcasters.
Except for Aussie kids.
Aussie kids. I did see that kid at the Brumbies was amazing.
There was the kid at the Brumbies, and there was two kids at the Reds who, one of them comes up and goes, I think Timmy's had some great commentary. This is Tim Horan, Wallabies legend. I think Timmy has gone really well, and his commentary has been really insightful. And everyone's going, what is going on here? So I like how the Australians just said, yeah, you want the kids around? We're putting them sideline with mics, middle of the game. No worries.
Yeah, I think it was the scripts that really let them down. They had to learn and read scripts written by probably someone who wasn't that keen on doing it in the first place, and the passion showed over. But hey, the kids were great themselves. I don't want to knock them too hard.
I did enjoy a lot of those. Was he talking about the interviews pre-game, or did they do something else? Yeah,
interview pre-game.
I feel like the kids definitely got better answers than the grown-ups. That's what I thought. It's like chuck a kid in there every time. It's like a little truth serum, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I can't lie to this innocent young child.
Aaron Smith really opened up in his interview before the Highlanders game and giving it way more than the stock standard answer he'd normally give your sideline reporter. So the kids, we do salute you for getting out there. I don't know what else was going on. Also nice to have a kids round 2 weeks after the maybe soon-to-be All Black captain pretends to slit a guy's throat on the field, and they go, oh, well, we want to distance ourselves from that. What about some kids? Remember those guys?
They had to cut all the kids doing all the
there was a lot of throat slitting from the kids.
Yeah, it was a real shame.
I'm a massive fan of throat slitting. I think that, like, in the end, Artie Savia, I don't mind any of that stuff, because when you play rugby, you'd much rather someone threaten you than actually do something to you.
Yeah.
I remember a friend of mine played club rugby against Marist, and Robin, the Brook brothers, are always marauding. He was stuck at the bottom of the ruck, and he thought, oh no, here comes Robin Brook. He just braced himself for either the biggest punch in the face he was going to get in his life. He was just sitting there, and instead, Robin Brook reached down, and plucked his nostril hairs.
Oh, that's worse.
Yeah.
That's
just
worse.
Like, yeah. And he goes, sort yourself out, like this. And it's almost like, sort your bloody nostril hairs out. But I sort of think it's like that whole thing of, it's better than getting punched in the face by Robin Brooke.
It is.
Anything. So being threatened with the throat slit from Artie, much better than having your hand stood on.
Yeah, it certainly is.
Or being Hopawadi.
Definitely better than
lots of things.
Oh, I don't know. That's quite important when you get later on in age. You got to get that shit all checked out.
Well, no, yeah, exactly. Hopawadis that you pay for are different.
Yeah, it does cost you extra. Which takes us back to where we almost were, and now we are. The Crusaders versus Blues. Crusaders 34, Blues 28. Sam, you were at the ground when we'll get your take on it soon. But first, let's take a little listen and see how the ACC commentary team covered the game.
It's now released the Hound Smithers. Bowden Barrett double pumped to Talaya, but there's so much traffic. But he never says no.
Slippery
and
character.
off he goes. He's so quick.
Who's he got?
Richie's got wheels though. He's still going. It's a try.
Won't stop.
What a try by Talaya. From the end of the world. 60 metres plus. Just kept on going, and the Blues strike first.
And Mark Talaya places a foot on the head of the Crusaders. We referenced stomping on the head while they're drowning after that loss against Fiji and Drua last week, and it's not a great start for them this week.
Well, he's one of those fast people who doesn't look fast, and you realise that everyone else is just treading water around them. And it was really what made it was just getting caught in that mash of bodies here. He ran into Bowden Barrett, which really technically is accidental offside, but no one cares at Eden Park, not quite in the dark. Look at that. He's your guy, North Harbour.
He certainly is, and I tell you what, I think Richie Moore...
And the power of the dog roll gets it out to Mo'unga. It's a nice cross kick. Anything could happen here.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Jarrett's Faiganuku. He's on fire. He's going to go all the way.
Who framed Roger Tuivasa-Sheck?
And he'll score. Lester Faiganuku flies in for the Crusaders. And they are up 29-21 here at Eden Park.
Yeah, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck absolutely framed on that one. Left in the dust of Lester Faiganuku. Almost a length of field, that one. Out of Bodie. Boring.
Well, might just work.
Maybe not.
It's going to work. Oh, yes. Mike Hoskinson-Tutu gets on the end. We take that back. Bowden Barrett, we bow to you and your beautiful cross kick. Mike Hoskinson-Tutu scores in the corner. And now Bowden has a tough kick from the sideline to win it for the Blues.
Just to reiterate what we've been saying the whole game, God, I love a cross kick under advantage, just to see what you can do with it.
Yeah, we
Much
really love
the
that.
Hail Mary.
Well, it makes sense when you've got a big unit like Mike Hoskins.
Oh, no!
No! What do you call that?
I think there was downward pressure there.
I think there's enough, because if you lose the ball but you stay...
You've got to give that, I think.
I don't know.
I'm not sure that Matt Bellamy's going to give this one, but, I mean...
Okay. For your original decision of playing a dance. Yeah, so guys, it's been clearly lost.
There we go.
No try.
And that's why a cross kick is never a good idea, Matt Ward. Sometimes you can knock it on in the moment of scoring.
Amazing scenes here, McOnie. Really committing to that crossfield kick tactic, and then when Mike Hoskinson-Tutu drops it over the line, just really backtracking there.
So I do want to ask you, rugby fans, how you feel about when there's penalty advantage. I always think it's time to break open glass and do the move that you would never do. It's like a full emergency. Like, I can do that move, my flash dance moment, lean back on the chair, pull the chain, the water comes out of the bucket, you're looking amazing, and everyone goes, shit, that was good. But every single time they do a bloody cross kick, and I was like, I'm sick of this, and then all of a sudden, oh shit, it's worked. But it didn't work.
But wouldn't you argue that the crossfield kick is them pulling back on the chair and pulling the water, because they're saying, well, let's throw caution to the wind, make it a 50-50 play or 75-25 play out wide and try to score a try.
The things they do it every single time, though. Like,
That's not the exciting part.
Yeah.
The exciting part would be some kind of random, like,
if one person,
elbow.
ball up the jumper.
Ball up the jumper, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Even I reckon, what about the fake hammy pull? And then give it.
That's great. That's
great.
great.
Yeah, the fake hammy pull is a big component. Someone did it fairly recently, did the fake hammy pull, maybe in the NRL. pulled up and then sprinted through and really had everyone on and touched out. And then you kind of complain. You're like, listen, he's not hurt.
It's a fake hammy.
Yeah.
Great.
So the only really logical conclusion to that sort of thought is if you see someone pull their hammy, just smash them anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
Because they could be telling the truth.
Yeah, they're out of the game for a bit anyway. You might as well give them a couple of reasons.
Now, I don't know if I've got any talking points that I wrote 5 minutes before the show, but I did think Dallas McLeod's daughters, was really impressive. But one thing I would say, we had a really good text line in that game. It was rugby players as Oscar winners. And so we had Buck to the Future, Charity Whanganuku, Who Framed Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, Power of the Dog Roll, etc., etc. But the disappointing thing is that there is an actual Oscar-winning movie, Dallas Buyers Club, recently, but everyone, all our ACC listeners and viewers were coming in with Debbie Does Dallas. I mean, I feel like they really ignored the theme there, you know?
Yeah.
It was only a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, it was a bit HIV-y, I guess, for a lot of people. Maybe they thought it's a bit. We don't want to associate this with a comedy game of rugby, but you're right. It was right there for the taking.
Yeah,
and it's
they didn't go for it.
A real shame that they didn't latch onto that. Debbie Does Dallas didn't do any Oscars.
Didn't do too well at the Oscars, I don't think.
I did. She might have done Oscar, but I'm not sure if there was any.
Probably went all right at the Sploogies, which I believe is the adult film industry.
Are they actually called the Sploogies?
No, I don't know what it's called, but I imagine there is some version and it will be called
the
Jizzies or something like this.
How many Jizzies have you won this year? It's like an amazing time because if you look at it, and Meryl Streep is probably the Oscar queen.
Yes.
There's got to be a sploogie queen.
Absolute sploogie queen.
Well, Byron Kelleher dated a porn star and brought her to Hamilton, Kaylani Lay.
Imagine going to
fact.
Hamilton from the bright lights and, I'm guessing, dark basements of Los Angeles, California, and then coming to Hamilton.
Yeah.
And I guess the basements would probably be similar.
Well, I understand that one of the players looked at her and went, I think I recognise her. And that night went home and did a full Da Vinci Code / Minority Report, like on the computer and working out, going, well, and then bang, came back the next day and went, it's Kaylani Lay! Like this. But it bugged that player all night.
Yeah.
But he knew he'd seen her somewhere.
I'd say it bugged him until he figured it out. And then he probably had quite an enjoyable half an hour or so. And then probably went to sleep.
I once heard Graham Henry describe Byron Kelleher as a man who has done very well with limited abilities, mentally.
Seems hurtful to bring us.
That's more controversial than the steroid thing.
It really is.
It's
one of Otago Rugby's greatest sons, leading that team around. Absolutely amazing combination with Tony Brown. And you're dragging his name through the butt.
Yeah,
and I
never
don't care how
did
many
it.
drunk huckers he does on the front of tour buses in Paris. It doesn't matter. He's a great man.
I want to see Sam Smith versus Byron Kelleher in a Mensa application test.
I will 100% do that. I have a dentistry degree. I'm technically a doctor.
And then
me take on Byron Kelleher, a man who probably has lifelong concussion. I feel like I'm going to back myself quite strongly with that.
Sam.
I think
we still want to see it.
We could tee up a sort of battle royale where the first is a Mensa test, and then the second is like 8 rounds of bare knuckle boxing. And we'll go those back to back.
I will destroy him in that first round, and he will literally murder me in that second round.
This is the reason why you're not a dentist, is because you put someone under and gave them a root canal, but not an actual root canal.
Yeah, that's the reason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The other reason I got done for selling pseudoephedrine to gangs.
That'll do it. It's time for another whoop, 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 because the police are actually on their way.
At the police.
Now, Sam, you were at the game.
I was at the game.
Eden Park.
I'm talking about kids' rounds. I took my 5-year-old Harry to his first ever rugby game, and there was a lot weighing on this for me because my kids were born in Auckland, and they figure that they should be Blues supporters.
Yeah,
They've been talking about it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is not happening. Your dad is a Crusaders guy. You are going to be Crusaders guys as well.
Oh, there's a lot of Auckland dads who've gone through that.
Oh, my gosh.
So how did you battle that?
Well, I basically just bullied them into doing it. I made them dress up in red and black, and they wore my Crusaders hats. And I'm so glad we won.
Yeah.
Because, that win, I think, has put me into fully having 2 children who support my team, which is great.
How are the other fans behaviour-wise towards you and your family, decked out in red and black at Eden Park, the home of the Blues? Was it smooth sailing? Was there any argy-bargy?
No, everyone was very nice. There was one man behind us who kept booing all of our kicks, and we had to be like, come on, man, have some respect. These people are doing their jobs. And but there was a guy in front of us. There was a father and son. The son was a Crusaders supporter and the dad was a Blues supporter. So I fully adopted this boy. His name was Presley. He was great. And we fully hassled his dad and really made him look like an absolute piece of shit during that game. So I'm
Job done.
proud of
Smith's go to the game,
ruined
job
this
done.
family. Yeah.
Nothing like really emasculating a man in front of his kids just to really make
That
you
was
feel
so
alive.
good. And those, man of the match for me, the TMO, of course. Those 2 tries that got disallowed right at the end. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I destroyed that poor man in front of me.
A real roller coaster for both of those. If it's me calling them, I think both of them should be disallowed. I don't think either of them should be tries. A lot of people saying that there's been precedents where the Mike Hoskins to 2-2-1 should almost be given, but he wasn't he wasn't holding the ball anymore.
It's not a
Sloppy
try.
hand slaps down on the ball by accident. It's not a try.
It wasn't convincing. I just think that part of it, though, before that, I think the ref lost his bottle because there were so many penalties. And the interesting thing is, like, more mid-game, there'll be a yellow card, but I feel like he thought, this is too important, I can't give a yellow. But also, what do you do for the penalty or the yellow card offence after the penalty? This is what bugs me. It's like, there's a penalty advantage, then something happens that is definitely a yellow card, but the referee goes, no, we're going back for this. If it's foul play, he definitely gets a yellow, but if it's one of those annoying, I'm lying on the ball, they just go, we're going back to this one. And so it's almost like the referees have this erasure of what just, I forget about that. We're going back to this, even though that is pretty bad. And any other day, I'll be sending you. Yeah. We're going back. So I feel like he bottled it. And even on that last play, I thought Bryce Heem had his knee down, and they should have just let them play, because I don't mind. I thought the Crusaders deserved it, but I don't mind. Let's put it this way: I'd prefer to see the players sorted out, and the final play is it didn't quite work. Rather than, I don't think that knee's down. No, he's held up, and it's like, well,
good. Yeah, that's the game. All right, go home, everyone.
Go home. It's like, no, it's not satisfying enough.
Yeah, you're 100% right, because you watched it back, and his knee just did touch the ground.
Yeah.
He was for all intents and purposes, it touched the ground. And 9 times out of 10, he'd call tackle completed, get out of there. So to do it on the last play, if I was a Blues fan, I'd be up in arms. But as a sort of neutral observer, who gives a shit, call it off. Kind of funny that the Blues lose at home, really. And
it was great.
That was sort of how I felt about the whole thing. There's a lot of amazing players out there, really ripping and tearing. Chariots of Whainganuku, one of them, scoring 3 tries.
Yeah, hat-trick. He's great.
Looking absolutely dangerous out wide. And I thought there was an interesting idea, because Mark Talia obviously getting huge raps for his attack. But then when your opposition scores 3 tries against you at Super Rugby, does that start throwing up questions of, if maybe you're not doing half of your job in terms of defence?
I'll tell you what, this is separate from what you just said, but
fair enough.
At the start of the game, when they came up and because you're at Eden Park, they really support the Blues, like the whole time.
Yeah,
everyone's like, go the Blues. And I'm like, can you tell us who has been sent off for the Crusaders? I have low vision. I have no idea when our players are coming on. I suddenly see number 18's on the field, and I'm like, when did that happen? And the
so this is you're taking issue with the ground MC.
Just if they could also announce the fact when the members of the visiting team also get subbed on, that would be really helpful.
I mean, that's a rookie era really from the ground staff. They should really up their game and be announcing all that sort of thing.
But when they announce the lineup at the beginning of the game and you see the Blues lineup, that is a frickin' stacked lineup. That got me very nervous before the game.
By the way, the ACC, we've got no idea what's going on. It always helps when you see Sky and you watch the commentary back and they go, wow, really fully across who's off and who's on. It's lucky that we had the incorrect printouts. I went, that's wrong. Nah. And so I had to sort of stop Matt and go, that's definitely, James Tucker's definitely not the tight head prop. He's playing lock, blah, blah, blah. So the printouts are bad, but not only that, it's like, I'm pretty sure that guy's coming on because he just has to come on because of the scrum thing.
Yeah.
Then there was a golden oldies scrum.
Yeah, golden oldies.
And I'm going, okay, look, right now we're just going to focus on what happens next because we don't have anyone on the ground. And in fact, the ACC commentary, if you were listening, didn't even start for 5 minutes. We got shafted a bit by someone.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about this. Was it were you pulled off air with some sort of horrific crime committed and you had to go face the judiciary? Or
well, we weren't pulled off. I would have remembered that. But I reckon that what happened was there was some like the plug the guy on Flying High when he takes pulls the plug and all the lights go out on the runway. Yeah. It was a bit like that guy. We needed him to plug us back in, and it was somewhere in the truck, I think, down at Eden Park. Not in the dark. There's no excuse. But a lot of people were texting in going, make it stop, which I thought was quite a good endorsement of the ACC commentary.
And that printout being incorrect is a real running theme of the calls here at the ACC, the ones I've been involved in. All the names are incorrect. I think they do the printout about a week before the actual game, so it's more of a vibe, really. But hopefully someone will sort it out. I mean, I don't do it, so God bless the person who does do all that printing.
I tell you what, this is because you work for News Hub, I can say this. They do a really good preview of the games, and they have all the team lists with numbers, and it's pretty accurate, unless something happens in the warm-up. And when something happens in the warm-up, the ACC is completely screwed. We've got no idea what the hell. If they run on in a number that's anything other than the 23, if there's a 24, we're fucked. Yeah, we've got no idea. So it's quite tricky because there are people making their debuts, and it's like you're really having to go deep dive into the Wikipedia and go, what the hell?
Well, I think we can all agree that the point I was seeking clarification for was really answered well there. We really drilled down on Mark Talia's defensive inability.
But just before you do that, though, Eden Park puts on a good show.
Yeah.
They do. It's great atmosphere. Everyone's having a good time, maybe except for Blues fans at the end. But the whole bill up, lovely stuff. Well done.
There's fire cannons?
There's fire cannons. We got given free rugby balls.
Wow.
I got given a $25 voucher for food, which meant...
Were you stealing? The rugby balls at the shop, you pay for those.
I went down onto the field and I took one of the balls and they said, "Oi, come back." And I was like, "Yeah, mate, I know.
I'm a dentist. Go fuck yourself." Look, wait a second. You got, what was the other freebie you got? The rugby ball plus the...
I got a $25 voucher.
Where?
Just as I was walking in, there was a guy sitting on like a life raft.
No, for where? Where can you redeem the voucher?
For any food stand.
Oh.
So I bought 4 drinks and 4 hot dogs, and I got a $25 discount, and it still cost me $43, which meant...
So you got excited about the $25?
Yeah.
Well, man, I thought, that means I didn't have to pay $69 for food.
That would have been nice.
That would have been very nice.
Really nice.
Also, you got to say, you're not a drinker, so you weren't buying beers. You're buying Coca-Colas.
I was buying Coca-Cola and Sprite and a lemon and an L&P, which my kids were over the moon about.
Oh.
They were fizzing.
They were. Can I answer your question?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I'm ready now. Mark Taliah, I didn't notice it actually, but you sort of, the one thing you'd say about Taliah's career, the career of Taliah, is that he has been a good defender. So I'm not quite sure whether there's massive kind of like points deducted, because you know that the All Blacks coaches always say, well, the last time he played at test level, which is, I think he played Scotland. Did he play against England as well?
I think so.
England, yeah. Not too bad.
Yeah.
So,
he's good,
but
man.
you're right though. If you're opposite marker, because wingers have got to really take it on the chin. Quite often they say, number 8s don't really mark up against number 8s all the time. It's someone else, and the halfbacks, a little bit, but all the other players is drift defence, one out. But with a winger, sometimes you've really got to say, yeah, that was my guy scoring a hat trick.
Yeah. He really got
Sorry
him good.
about that.
Yeah, it's like, oh.
He also got RTS, Roger Tuivasa Sheck. He gave him the big, don't argue, this is Leicester Whanganuku, gave him the big get out of here when he caught that crossfield kick, which I imagine you were a huge fan of when that went up in the air on advantage.
What was that on advantage? That was just actually it might have been.
I think it was on advantage.
It was deep in their own territory. I don't mind a crossfield kick there, because that's quite exciting.
It was ballsy.
Yeah, it was ballsy, because you're really just saying, Mark Taliah, come and get it. But I couldn't actually see where Mark was at that point.
Yeah,
but Roger
God
was
knows
back
where
there.
he was.
Roger was back there, and it was a weird moment, wasn't it, where the bounce of the ball just favoured that taller old Leicester Whanganuku. He was fantastic in that game. I don't know, there's such a logjam with wingers.
Yeah.
I really feel like even, say, fullbacks, right? You've got Sean Stevenson is going to be in the frame.
He's got to be there, right?
Yeah,
He's
amazing. And then you've got Will Jordan, who'll come back and he
Yeah.
covers multiple positions. So does Sean Stevenson. And they always like the guys, this is a weird thing, that they like the guys who can kick and catch and do all those sorts of things. Then they worry about the tries.
Yeah.
You know what? It's like the third thought with All Blacks selectors sometimes with outside backs. Whereas as a fan, I'm always going, just get the guy who's just mowing over the top of people.
Yeah, you love to see a guy. I guess Caleb Clark was that sort of role for a while where he could get it and score from anywhere. He actually, in that same play where Leicester Whanganuku who gave RTS, the big don't argue. Caleb Clark embarrassingly held back, trying to cut off the pass. And then once he was defeated, just realised, oh, shit, he's just run past me now. It's quite if you rewatch that moment, it's quite enjoyable to watch him run up. And then you see the realisation on his face of, I've screwed this up.
See the heartbreak in his eyes.
I've really screwed the pooch
lovely
here.
Man.
He's the loveliest man
Lovely
ever.
man.
Oh, he's if it wasn't for Caleb Clark, who if there was a spin-off show of Super Rugby and it was kind of a Glee sort of show, you know?
Yeah.
Let's break into song. Oh, it's Caleb Clark as my leading man.
Yeah, nice.
100% he would be. Because he's got everything. He's just that guy. He's magnetic. He's fun. He waves at training. Nobody waves at you at training except for Caleb. He's like, hey, how's it going? And you're like, oh, right, shit.
Oh, my God, actually, he's a person in there. Wow.
I wouldn't mind seeing
exciting.
Ethan Blackadder as like the jock of that TV show, the Glee spin-off. He'd be there being like the jock who actually secretly really loves the singing and the dancing, but he goes off and be a bad
Ethan
boy.
Blackadder is an absolute sweetie.
But
You just know it.
He only sings country songs or maybe like a metal song, but they've made it more poppy for the show.
Yeah. They've made a master of puppets that is more accessible that Ethan Blackadder can really get behind.
Hey, Ethan Blackadder was great in that game as well, and it just shows what we've missed. Having a dominant blindside flanker, you just go, oh yeah, that's what we've always. You know, when Liam Squire was just getting to that point, I feel like Ethan Blackadder's somewhere near in that ballpark.
Yeah, very similar mould to your Liam Squire. Just your absolute rip it up the guts, smash the shit out of everyone sort of character who. It's not like he's a massive, he is a big guy. You know, he's not like a towering unit on the field, but God, he can smash the shit out of people.
And he can sing, and he can sing the hell. He can play the banjo. And he can. I don't know if they had the banjo on Glee, but I remember they did a really nice version of that song from Kane. Somewhere is it somewhere
only we know?
Somewhere only we know. Yeah. That was a good moment for me, I think, in the Glee series.
Learning so
whatever
much about
happened-
McOnie with Glee. I didn't know you were such a fan.
Whatever
of that,
happened to all the
show.
people from Glee?
Oh boy.
Anyway,
Oh,
move
boy.
along.
Oh no, let's get in. I'm prepared to answer that more than the Mark Talia question. No.
Weird hill to die on, McOnie.
Yeah, it is a weird hill to die on. And that probably wraps up our extended coverage.
Can I just
of the
say,
game of the round, Sam?
The
You're coming
game of the
hot.
round, it was absolutely brilliant. Go the bloody Crusaders. What a great team. No more losses from here on out, please. That Drua thing really shocked me. And can we please win the 7-peat? Thank you very much.
You were the first person I thought of when I was watching the mighty Fijian Drua beat the Crusaders at home. My first thought was, that'll piss Sam Smith right
I was
off.
so pissed off.
And could I just say, I walked across an empty land. Okay, let's have a break.
Let's have a break. We'll come back in a minute. All right, well, now it's time to a quick wrap-up of the other games that did happen on the weekend, because it wasn't just the Crusaders and the Blues. Of course, we had the Hurricanes and the Waratahs, the game everyone looks forward to all year long. I say very sarcastically on Friday nights. And
It was a
pretty
banger
good
of a game.
Good outing for the Canes, winning 34-17 at home. They had Captain Hurricane wheeled out the big old plane again, which is nice to see.
I only watched the last 20 minutes of it, but man, so much stuff happened.
Yeah.
Like, they missed, all the kicks at goal. That was funny.
You always love it when grown men fail at the thing they're supposed to be good at.
But they're really good at the thing they work at their entire lives.
Well, when you get the halfback, it's always the halfback, isn't it? Or a hooker who seems to have to hold the ball on the tee.
Yeah.
You know it's a bit of a lottery, eh? Because part of you in your mind is thinking, I could break his finger here. So the thought of, your processes or whatever you're going through for the goal kick goes out the window when someone's finger is just holding the top of the ball.
Yeah, and it had been windy as all hell down in Wellington. The cricket was on the same day, and I think that had been called off for half the day due to wind, and they rolled up to Sky Stadium. And, howling gale. And always when I see the guy holding his finger on the ball, it reminds me of those videos you see of a guy doing a drive off someone's asshole. You see it on social. It's kind of
that's exactly right.
Stakes of if you mess this up, you could really jack him up right now.
It's always a stag do, isn't it? It feels like it's a stag moment that someone's got to take the hit. You wouldn't, the day, if you're doing the stag do the day before the wedding, I think you can't ask the groom to put the tee up his ass.
No.
But if it's 2 weeks before, I think it's totally fine for the groom to go down and put a tee in his ass.
So you put the tee...
You want a fresh ass once you've been married. It's got to be fresh.
That's the bit that's got to hurt the most, right? Because if they get the ball clean and they don't clobbier cheeks, the quick withdrawal of that tea out of the a-hole must really rip. Like, you want to lube up the tea before you insert it, I'd imagine.
Maybe blunt it, just smooth it over a little bit. Yeah, totally.
Well, maybe we could sell teas. At ACC, we sell the butt plug tea or the anal tea, because it seems to be a common thing now. I'd say the demand for that is through the roof.
Yeah,
Let's
and
talk
anal
to
tea sort of
Lane about it.
extended, smooth. You could even maybe, you know how there's like those hens do straws that have a sort of penis on the end of the straw. You could put that on the end of the tea. And then so when you
sell a double,
that's a great
idea.
idea.
You sell the straw and you sell the tea.
Yeah. This is great thinking. We'll get on to ACC head G Lane after this podcast about this and try to get it on the ground floor, because we're onto a money-making scheme here. The notes that we have here, and I think this is an important person to talk about, is Cam Roigard, the halfback for the Hurricanes. What a game. His nose is all over his face already, and I think he's only 20 years old. He's looks horrific. And I heard someone mention, not in a bad way, his nose is broken. Someone said that he's like the new Jimmy Cowan, and it got me all worked up when I heard that, because I love Jimmy Cowan. He is a great man, and to have a new Jimmy Cowan makes me very happy.
For me, Jimmy Cowan is the new Justin Marshall. So we've got a new Justin Marshall. Exciting.
I feel like Cam Roigard is a bit more zip than both of those guys, and maybe even a better pass. He's not. He is a big unit. Like, he's a 6-footer, I guess, but he's amazing.
That blows my mind when halfbacks are as tall as me. Like TJ Perenara is 6'1".
Yeah,
and you're like, what? No, he's the little guy. Well, it just shows you how massive these locks are.
That moment when he got the ball and instead of passing out, just set sail for the try line and busted the shit out of the Waratahs number 9. Just ran straight, and you saw him make up his mind. And he's like, I'm going to just tear through their team here, bunted off a couple of guys and dotted down. It was amazing.
I'll be honest.
Razor's already. Oh, sorry, carry on.
I'll be honest. When I saw him in his interview after the show, I thought he was one of the kids that had brought on to interview him. He looks like he's 9 years old.
He did. I was just going to say, do you think Razor sent a text going, "Don't worry, if Fozzie doesn't pick you, I got you."
Yeah,
he's got so much power.
Stick around, big guy.
Oh, I tell you what, Aussie rugby league clubs would look at someone like Cam Roigard and go, "You know what? Yeah,
I mean, he'd be menacing around the base of the ruck. Yeah,
stand off." The good thing with the little or big little guy is in league you've got sort of 3 or 4 positions you can play.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just that. Yeah, anyway. Roigard, great. Who else was good in that performance? I didn't watch.
Savia didn't threaten anyone, so that's good.
Yeah, Savia managed to keep his...
okay.
I think the other Savia maybe played mediocrely, but we won't get worried about bogged down and who didn't play well.
No.
But I love me some Julian Savia, so just good to see him out there trying.
He was All Black number 1111.
Was he?
Yeah.
That's a lovely stat.
That's a nice thing.
Do you know who All Black number 666 was?
No.
Ian Kirkpatrick, number 6.
Incredible.
He's the Antichrist.
Incredible.
Yeah, didn't know that. Lovely man, but still the Antichrist.
The Antichrist, yeah.
The literal Antichrist.
Which, of course, it's natural they'd be a charming old bloke who, but the Antichrist.
They lure you in, they earn your trust, and then they destroy the world. I don't really know.
Yeah. Sort of make us swim in a lake of fire for the rest of eternity. Is that
what happens?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
To that.
Sounds warm. Sounds cozy.
We'll jump forward to the Chiefs. The Chiefs, am I pronouncing that right? Of course, playing the Rebels. 44-25, they won that game. And, I mean, a bit of a cakewalk over there playing the Rebels.
Man, I'm sure you guys have all noticed this. All these new rule changes, the scores in rugby games these days are just so much higher than they used to be. Like 21-10 used to be a fairly standard game, and now all the games are like 45-35.
Yeah, give me a 3-3 draw any day, I say.
I went to a 6-0 draw against the Crusaders and the Highlanders.
6-0 draw?
Oh, 6-0. Oh, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It was 6-0 to the Highlanders, and it was the worst game of rugby I've ever seen. But then Shehard played, so that was good.
Oh, that's bloody good.
Yeah.
I was going to say, is it, when the Rebels turn up and they see the Chiefs name a second 15, it's kind of the equivalent of thinking that you're famous and you go into a restaurant, they give you a table by the toilet. It's like, oh, right, thanks for this. And so the Rebels turn up and it's like, really, we play second 15. And they come on, all the famous players or more of them turned up in the second half, and they still lose by 20 points or whatever it is.
Yeah, it is a bit of a brown eye right at the face of the Rebels. And, well, you'd like to see them do what the Fijian Drua did, which was knock them over the second string team, but unfortunately they were pumped.
Yeah.
Chiefs looking good though. And McOnie, you're a big Chiefs man, I'm meant to believe.
Yeah, you're having a great season, man.
Yeah, it's going all right so far. I really like Imoni Narawa, and he was probably the best on the park, playing right wing. He's just one of those guys where He's humble, but he's got this. He's quite a big guy. He's got all that speed, and again, more outside backs to choose from. Yeah. And he might be getting a bit of a Razor Snapchat, possibly. Maybe not the full kind of detailed text, but just a little kind of like thumbs up, because I think Razor might have his own. Can you get your own avatar and stuff?
He had a wee Bitmoji for sure.
Bitmoji. He's got a Bitmoji. Definitely does.
Yeah, if you're getting the unsolicited DM from Razor on Snapchat of just a Bitmoji with a thumbs up, you're thinking, this is looking good for me in the future.
Yeah.
So good depth from the Chiefs, and Sean Stevenson finally showing what he can do.
He's incredible.
He is incredible. And the game that everyone was talking about, of course, I think this is the game.
Your first win!
Well, I think we're all ecstatic about this. The Highlanders in Invercargill at what looked like, Rugby Park, geez, it doesn't look good on the screen, winning 43-35 against the Force, who were dressed up like Taranaki for some reason. I'm not sure what the story was there.
Yeah.
I don't know why they were in the black and gold hoops, but who cares, because they were soundly beaten.
I think it's quite a strong cultural thing that they're doing there, so maybe...
I'll walk that back. I'll walk that back.
But also, you dressed up like Taranaki sounds like quite a cool song lyric,
Yeah.
You come in dressed up like Taranaki, and I don't know, it'd be maybe just a singer-songwriter, guitar only,
yeah, I can
acoustic
see,
set.
Welcome to the
field,
really. And you're dressed up like Taranaki.
Well, this has really filled me with joy. This is my first lyric, and I would like those royalties when APRA comes calling.
Make it happen.
But 43-35, the Force of course scoring 2 tries in the last 2 minutes. So really that's 43-20. So that's a hiding.
It's a hiding. How are you feeling about it?
I felt pretty good about it. Not as good as some of the crowd down there in Invercargill. When they do the crowd shots, every time you thought, Jesus, there's some characters who support the Highlanders down in the depths. But it makes you feel good to be alive, see that groundswell of support in the deep south for the boys. I bloody loved it.
I did enjoy the crowd, in particular when Sam Gilbert was taking kicks at goal. He took one kick at goal, which we can show, and you can hear the fans celebrating too early with the woohoo.
Gilbert trying to fade it round and just off the upright.
And then it hits the post and miss, and then she decides, okay, no woohoos for the next kick.
It looks pretty good. It's good. Sam Gilbert.
And it goes over. And then afterwards they learn that it's better to woohoo after the ball's gone through the post, which is the moral of the story. Really.
It's nice when you learn a lesson from watching a game. I think that's really nice.
That's what I thought. And also like the look of Hugh Renton, your number 8, Tony.
What a guy.
He is actually a big unit, because sometimes, number 8s, they look muscly and big, but they're actually, you get alongside them and you realise, okay, you just play big. But he is a big lump.
Yeah, he is.
And he's doing good things. I like to see someone who isn't always mentioned in dispatches,
Yeah, he's the classic, for me, a classic Highlanders player who shines every week. And I don't know if he shines every week because the general level around him isn't as shiny as other teams may have consistently across the park. I also wonder, and I'd like to get you guys' feedback on this, if shaving your head makes you stand out and look better, because you always see him everywhere on the park when you're watching the game. You're like, geez, there he is again. And we talked about this last week. If everyone should shave their dome, if you're a fringe All Black, shave your head, and then you look like you're doing more than you actually are.
Probably not everyone shave your head, because that might, not help out too much.
That's how things. That's how movements start, Tony. But the thing is, of course, I also feel like the redheads get a bit of an advantage there, because quite often with Tom Robinson and Finlay Christie on the field, it was hard to call anyone else in that game. Like, there they are, ginger to ginger. And it was passion of the Christie, and we might have had Swiss Family, Tom Robinson possibly is. Yeah, that's what it was,
It's very good. And a character, I don't imagine, talked about too much at the end of this game, but a guy by the name of Finn Hurley, who made his debut for the Highlanders down there in Dunedin. A absolutely tiny character, but geez, he goes good. Keep your eye on that kid. Great name too. You just want to want to say it. A combination of Ben Hurley and I guess someone else called Finn. Finn Allen, let's go with him. But nonetheless, and he looks like a child. I genuinely was like one of those kids that's wandered out onto the field, and then he was dangerous with ball in hand. But I like to see it.
What position was Finn Hurley playing?
I think he was playing at 15, but he's a 10 or 15.
Yeah, I've heard, because Mitch Hunt looks like a kid out there, like a child version of Bruce Springsteen. We've kind of looked at his face on the right angle. He's definitely the boss as a young guy. If they're ever going to do a biopic, Well, it's Mitch Hunt.
Mitch
It
Hunt.
has to be Mitch Hunt.
Yeah, he was made to look pretty little as well. I know that one of the players, the number 2 there for the Force, came off the back of a ruck and ran straight at Mitch Hunt, who decided maybe if I front flip into him, it'll stop him. And turns out it did nothing. He just sort of bounced off like a pinball. But quite a moment for the young fella.
I wonder if they'd ever legitimately just put a kid out there.
Yeah.
Like would a grown adult look and be like, oh no, that's a 7-year-old girl. Like, should I tackle this? It'll be bad for me if I tackle this person. I'm not going to do it.
As a strategy, put a child out.
Yeah.
No, I think they'd become deceased for sure.
Yeah, okay.
But Finn Hurley, not far off a child. Watch it again. He's
We'll
big in heart, but small in stature.
I like that as a Highlanders fan, you can find these little moments, in a season that it looks like it's a troubled season, but you're going, there's something good there.
There's a few good things going on.
Diamonds in the rough. There are good things going on. I've got a lot of time for the Highlanders, and in fact, I love seeing them upset teams when it looks like all is lost.
And there'll be a few of those this season, mark my words. The Highlanders will get a few more W's. They might not go on to clean the whole thing out. I'd love it if they did, but it does seem unlikely considering the way they've started. But they will trip a few teams up.
I feel like that with the Highlanders are very much everyone's second team. Like for me, I'm quite happy if the Highlanders win. Even if the Crusaders lose to them, I'm like, oh no, it's the Highlanders. They're South Island guys.
And Clark Dermody does sound like a topical cream, like some kind of facial cleanser or something like that. I feel like.
You're like, can you hand me the Clark Dermody?
Yeah.
I've got something that needs taken care of. Well, we'll take a quick break and come back with a quick brief. Nailed that. Let's just rip straight into it. And that is what we call in the business a smooth segue.
That's right.
As we come back and go over the games in this coming weekend, all of which you can hear on the ACC's commentary, apart from the Chiefs game, because that is played over there in New South Wales. Crusaders play Brumbies on Friday night, and Sam, you'll be absolutely champing at the bit.
I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited to watch my lovely boys take down the as currently undefeated Brumbies.
Yeah, currently
Double
undefeated.
checking that. Yeah, cool.
I thought that's what you're calling date night. Love to see my lovely boys take down the old Brumby.
I do call it date night, and my wife hates the fact that I'm just talking about the Crusaders the whole time.
And do you call her the Brumby?
Yeah, she's the Brumby.
Absolutely not.
The Brumby.
She's from Wellington. She's the Hurricane.
That's a real. I'd say that's almost. Would you say in terms of Super Rugby, one of the bigger trans-Tasman rivalries, the Brumbies and the Crusaders?
This is the 2001 final again. This is the 2004 final again.
Gregan.
Oh no, not 2001. Cut out the bit where I got it wrong and said 2001.
Keep it in there.
I mean 2004. I like being accurate.
If you keep my atrocious segue in there, then we can keep you being wrong in as well.
Segway of the year.
It really is.
The nominations are. It's like, oh shit, is he going to? Yes, Tony Lyall. Wow, Champagne Rugby.
When he appeared to have some sort of mental breakdown after mocking kids' ability to broadcast earlier in the piece, and now he's had a stroke. And then over to Australia, your Chiefs, McOnie, taking on the Tars. Your prediction there?
Yeah, I think we'll take care of the Tars, and it always feels like when they go away from home, it's razzle dazzle time. If you can remember a try between Brad Weber and Sean Stevenson around the back pass from Shooter Stevenson a couple of years ago, I mean, it was just a thing of beauty. So either that or they'll grind us down like this, because they're the team that do have a bit of a fortress mentality, and hopefully the Chiefs say let's go.
Yeah, fair enough. Highlanders at home playing the Fijian Drua, and obviously I'll be pretty keen for the Landers to get another W.
That Drua, though,
in a frosty Dunedin, an autumnal Dunedin. We'll see how they go away from the bright lights and tropical feeling of Fiji.
Yeah.
Well, I met Rupeni Vauvau Nambuka the other day at Eden Park, name drop, and
it's a good name drop.
It was probably 20 degrees and he was freezing. He said it's cold. And I went, okay, so he wanted to have a sit down. Wow. And it was a big moment for me. I fanboyed, but so did Beauden Barrett. Beauden Barrett fanboyed. Big time.
It's Rupeni, of course you're not a fanboy.
Rupeni.
Totally.
Did he pass him a ball and see if he can still have a little run?
I wanted him to do the scoop up like he did against the Brumbies back in the day. But anyway, no, he wasn't about that.
Yeah, no.
Talking about scoop ups, those are two good scoop up players. Him and Bodie.
Yeah, and scoop up.
Did he post that photo? He said he. Anyway, I post my one almost immediately. I never post on Instagram, but when it's Rupeni, it's going on the gram. It's going on the gram.
Nice.
Well, we love you, Rupeni, and we'll take the Highlanders to beat that one. Moana Pacifica playing the Hurricanes, and as there's no members of this current desk that support the Hurricanes, want to take a call on that one?
Canes.
All right, there we go. And finally, the Blues versus the Force on Sunday afternoon.
Blues are going to be hurting. Surely the Blues. They're at home, right?
Lovely stuff. And before we go, we'd be completely remiss as a rugby podcast not to mention it is the Super Rugby All-Piki final this week.
So exciting.
Matatu playing the Hurricanes. Paul, who do you pick for that one?
Oh, Matatu, all the way.
Yeah,
It's
South
Island. Love it.
Well, I'm all about the Chiefs Manawa, but the best thing about the Matatu is they've got this backbone of the Canterbury team that won all those NPCs or the Farah-Palmer Cups. And, oh, man, they're so tough. They're so tough. So that's probably the best game of the round. I would say that's the one that you got to watch. Yeah.
And they've come up here, beaten the Blues at home in the semi-final to make that final.
Well, that game as well was incredible.
So are there any other big sort of not big derbies? I don't think so. Yeah,
no, there's no
So
New
you're going to
Zealand
tune in
derbies.
for Matatu versus Manawa. It's all
totally.
on.
Matatu Manawa is so the All-Piki final. It's got to be the game to watch this weekend.
And
Go
Manawa
to South Island.
Manawa have just been incredible. Like,
yeah.
so dominating. So
Yeah,
if Matatu can come through and get that, it's going to be, a great day.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. So that's they'll be swinging from the rafters after that one. That is a grand final. There'll be many a VB if they do still drink VB out of the trophies for some reason.
I also did hear, I think it was Ruby Tui on commentary called Tanika Willison to Sneaker Willison, which is sort of tribal. That's not bad. Yeah. So maybe Ruby, I know she's in demand, but maybe come over to the ACC, just see.
Yeah, we'll get
Yeah.
I know a manager. We'll give him a call.
Come on,
Yeah, I think we can get a few names there. So I think we can all agree in saying tune into that All-Piki final. What a game, and thanks very much for joining us in the Export Beer Garden studio for the second ever edition of the Champagne Rugby Podcast. James McOnie, thanks for joining us and sharing your vast knowledge
of Mark Talaire's defence.
Yeah, we all appreciated that.
Anytime.
And on behalf of Sam Smith and myself, we'll catch you next week. Go your lovely boys, Sam.
Go my lovely boys.